My name's Andy. I'm the VP of Product at Intruder. I'm here to make the platform and the product that you're all using as awesome as possible. So two of the things that we've released already that Joe has run us through, and a couple of things that are coming down the pipeline and hopefully you'll see in the next few weeks. We'll start off with the internal agent improvements. So Joe showed us the way that you can add a target. We've heard previously that trying to install those internal agents can be difficult, can cause some friction. So we've taken a look at that workflow and we've tried to improve it for people so that the idea is now you can, if you're installing one agent at a time, it will guide you through that process and make it as simple as possible. Both Hannah and Joe have touched on this. One of the key things that we try to do in Intruder is make this whole process as effortless as possible. Internal agent scanning wasn't providing that kind of effortless installation process, so we're trying to make it as effortless as possible. If you engage with that, if you start using that feature in that workflow, please feel free to give us feedback. You can find it in our chatbot on the portal. Please feel free to let us know what you think of it and if there's any improvements that could make the whole process easier for you. The second element is our remediation scanning. Joe touched on that as well. He showed you that rescan button on our issues page. Previously, we didn't have the ability to run a scan against a specific vulnerability. Instead, we ran a scan, again, including all of the vulnerabilities in our database against your target. That works really well for showing you, if we don't want to make assumptions. We want to make sure that you're getting the greatest coverage we possibly can. But what we started hearing from people was that's fine, that's good, I can run that full scan, but actually when I come to do my remediation process, I need to be certain that my remediation or the fix that I've applied to that vulnerable system has worked. And how do we do that? We need to come back into Intruder, we need to run another scan and wait for the results to come in. If we're running a full scan against every vulnerability, what we end up doing is taking extra time for that scan to complete. And we know that some people are waiting for that scan to complete before they tick off that task from their to-do list and move on to something new. So we want to make that as quick and efficient as possible for all of our users. That's where our rapid remediation scanning comes in. You run a full scan, your issues page will populate, and then you'll see that rescan button. So if you hand off the remediation or the fix process to somebody, they've run their fix, they come back to you and they say, hey, that issue is now fixed, I think. You can validate that by clicking that rescan button. And if this fix has taken and it is effectively protecting you from that vulnerability, you'll see that issue or the occurrence of that issue disappear from that list and move over to your fixed issues list. So again, trying to make that whole time to fix process as quick as possible and really shut the door on attackers being able to exploit vulnerabilities that exist within your attack surface. The final 2 points, these are two that are coming down the pipeline that we're working on right now. The first one is success analytics. Joe showed you that reports page. That reports page is looking a little bit lonely, but we're making it even better for you. So that reports page is going to include an analytics page. And what we're looking to do there is show you that progress of improvement that you've been making between two points in time. So the dashboard, as Joe showed us, is what your attack surface and what your risk exposure looks like right now. But we want to allow you to do a little bit more digging into, what did I look like 30 days ago and what do things look like now? What's my travel? What's my progress? How well am I doing now compared to then? This success analytics page is going to be able to demonstrate that improvement and that progress to you. We're going to try and make it as visually engaging as possible so that if you do need to report to third-party stakeholders, you can take that screen and you can present it to them and make it immediately visible, the kind of progress that you're making. Where perhaps progress isn't being made, we're trying to give you as much insight as possible as to why that may be the case. So it's possible that the number of vulnerabilities you're detecting is increasing. That's not necessarily a bad thing, right? Like vulnerabilities come out on a daily basis. We don't want somebody throwing the book at you because actually more vulnerabilities are appearing in Intruder. That's actually a good thing, especially if your attack surface is increasing. So say you've spun up a whole load of new assets that are exposed to the internet. Of course, you're going to find more things associated with more assets. So really try and give you that insight and give you the ability to dig into the why of the progress or perhaps the lack of progress that's being made, and allow you to make the case for, well, actually, if we're not making progress and our attack surface is increasing, we're having to manage more things simultaneously. Perhaps you need more resource and more money to make sure that that progress is achieved. Finally, the improved authentication workflow. On when you add a target, you can then choose to add an authentication. Joe showed us at the end of his demo. He clicked into that target details page, and you can add an authentication there. The authentication workflow allows us to scan behind login pages on websites. What we've seen is that after somebody has added that authentication, they want to know immediately whether that configuration was successful or not. Um, Historically, we've relied on, as Joe showed, browsing to that scan detail page and seeing whether the scanned URLs include authenticated pages. We're trying to remove all of that difficulty from you. We're working towards showing you, as soon as you've configured that authentication, you click a verify or a validate button, and then we will go away. We will grab a screenshot of that page after the authentication workflow, present it to you, and you'll have the opportunity to say, yes, that has worked, or no, that has not worked. And really give you that, put you in the driving seat for making sure that authentication works and not having to wait until the scan completes to be able to validate whether it has or hasn't worked. Both of those we're hoping to have out in the next month or so, but watch this space. Our team will be reaching out and giving you a run through of what that looks like when it is released.